Good morning, good afternoon. Welcome back to the Hollis Chapman Show on Blog Talk Radio. Our next guest, he is a professor at the Ohio State University. I always like saying that, the Ohio State University. So he's going to here share with us his new book, Finding a Purpose. Let me see. Dr. Tsipursky, for giving his experience about finding your meaning through science. How different is that? Okay, let me just find the correct stuff here. I'm just trying to shuffle through my notes. But he's here. He's going to talk about that. He's going to talk about being a professor at the Ohio State University. Because again, at Ohio, from a lot of us looking out, Ohio State is, especially through the sports-wise, is so successful, so out there. We know so much about Ohio State just when it's the sports side. As a professor there, I mean, I'd like to ask him, or give him a heads up and ask this about with the school being in the spotlight so much. What is the campus like? What is it when he speaks to his kids? Is there a lot of energy feeding off the athletic program to the kids who are not in the athletic program? Are they finding their purpose? Are they getting into it because of the sports thing they're doing? So Doc, you hear me? This, to me, I think it's such a neat. Like I told my son before, if you don't play sports in college, go to a college that has a great sports program and then enjoy that atmosphere. Enjoy that. Maybe you can find your meaning in that because there's just so much excitement. It starts off with Ohio State's football in the fall. The basketball program's great. They got great volleyball programs and stuff like that, track program. Is that energy flowing to the rest of the campus, the professors? So it's just a hotbed of meaning. So we'll ask him about that. So without further ado, let's welcome to the show Dr. Tsipursky.
Me, Hollis. I really enjoy and appreciate being invited to the show.
Oh, thank you very much, sir. We appreciate you. And again, like I said before, I love it when I saw that you're a professor at the Ohio State University. I always love that. But Ohio State is an awesome, it's an awesome university, and I'm a Dallas Cowboy fan, so we got one of the Ohio State player on our team, and we're so happy about that. So it's all good. It's all good. Mm-hmm. So I was very excited. Before we get going, sir, I know I threw some stuff out there in the intro that we can talk to about later, but introduce yourself and then say a little bit about your book, sir.
Sure. Thank you, Hollis. My name is Gleb Tsipursky, so I'm a professor at the Ohio State University, and I do have to pronounce that as part of my as part of pronouncing the official name of the university, because that's what it's called.
Yeah.
And let's see, a bit about myself. So I research meaning and purpose, as well as decision-making and emotional and social intelligence, as part of the Decision Sciences Collaborative and History Department here at Ohio State. I also run a nonprofit that popularizes information in all of these topics: meaning and purpose, decision-making, emotional and social intelligence, for a broad audience. So the nonprofit is called Intentional Insights, and folks can find information about it at intentionalinsights.org. It has articles, videos, apps, blogs, and all sorts of neat stuff for podcasts. So that's a little bit about what I do. And I wrote the book, Find Your Purpose Using Science, that Hollis mentioned, that's to popularize the research on meaning and purpose for a broad audience from a somewhat different perspective than most content available on finding meaning and purpose using science, using other topics and using other approaches. That's a bit about me.
Very good. Hey, Doc, again, I'm trying to navigate through your website and stuff like that, so excuse me. But when I was saying earlier, like I said, again, Ohio State is such an exciting place, I think. Was it really easier for you being on that campus to find a little bit of content for your books, or just find a little bit of content when you speak to your kids? Because again, it must be the whole university when the school starts must be so exciting. Everybody's up and exciting and this and that. Can you find a lot of material just by being on campus?
Yes, there is. It is easier to get students enthusiastic about classes starting up, especially in the fall when the the football team is playing, Buckeyes, go Bucks, I'm contractually obligated to root for the Buckeyes, being a professor at Ohio State.
Very good.
Yes, so...
Very nice. Okay.
Yes, so people are definitely more enthusiastic in the fall, a little bit less so in the spring when the team isn't playing, but what you going to do?
Yep, gotcha. All right, so your book, Find Your Purpose and Meaning in Life. Okay, so why did you start there? Why did you come up with that? Because it's a lot of stuff out there, a lot of books out there about finding your purpose and this and that. Why did you say, I want to write this? And why do we sit there and say, oh, wait, we should go to Doc's book and read Doc's book? Why do you think your book is the right book to read for that?
Well, sure. I think my book is the right book for some people. I don't think it's necessarily the right book for all. I wouldn't claim that. The reason I wrote this book is because there are a lot of people who around the world right now who don't have a strong sense of meaning and purpose. And they suffer because of that. I see anguish around me every day when people don't have a deep and rich sense of meaning and purpose, and they suffer from this sense of meaninglessness, waking up every day and going about their life and not knowing why they're going about their life and not knowing what they're doing. So clearly the current stuff that's out there on meaning and purpose is not working, right? If it was,
Right.
There wouldn't be a problem.
Right.
And so I decided to investigate, why is this a problem? And this is something, I experienced. It comes from my own background. When I was growing up, I had the same sense of existential angst and kind of meaninglessness and like, what's it all about? Why am I here? And so on, that so many other people have. And honestly, the traditional sources from which people draw a sense of meaning and purpose, kind of religion and cultural heritage and tradition, have been weakening over time. And that's not something I found a sense of purpose in. And that's not something so many people around me find a sense of purpose in. Religion or cultural heritage, kind of, the family, that's the cultural heritage. Many people used to find a sense of purpose in family, and plenty of people currently don't, as we can see from the epidemic of meaninglessness in our society. And religion also, there are so many more nuns, NONES, people who don't have a sense of religious camaraderie, kind of don't go to church. I mean, I go to church, but that has not given me a sense of meaning and purpose. And there are many people like me who, when they go to church, don't gain a sense of meaning and purpose from church either. And what I started researching this due to my own journey and that sense of existential angst that I had. And what I found was that there's a lot of research on how to find a sense of meaning and purpose and its importance in life. So it turns out that meaning and purpose is not only important to not feel that anguish and suffering, but also for mental and physical health. People who have a stronger sense of meaning and purpose, they get less strokes, less heart disease, they live longer, so have more longevity. They get less ulcers, less Alzheimer's, and various sorts of ailments. So I was really surprised when I found that. And also less mental illness, less anxiety, less depression, less suicide, less risky behavior, such as drug abuse, alcohol abuse, stuff like that. And I was also surprised when I found that. So it's not only about feeling better, but it's also about your health, actually not having bad health as a result of having a weaker sense of meaning and purpose. So I decided to make that a topic of my research, and that's kind of my personal journey and why I came to research this topic.
It's so many top points you mentioned right there. Talk to us this way, though. Talk to me as a father of a 90-year-old who's, again, for hopefully starting his meaningness and purpose. When do, as a parent, we start saying, okay, son, it's time for you to get your act together. It's time for you to start giving a meaning. Because I kind of stress some of that. You got to be, start to be better at something, be good at something, have a meaning, have a reason to get out of bed, have a reason just this and this. When, as a parent, we start getting a little bit more serious with our child about having meaning and purpose?
Yeah, that's a great question. So a good time to do that is at the time when the child is starting to separate from the family and starting going to kindergarten. So at that stage, when the child is starting to develop her or his own social circle, that's a good time to help the child be stronger in her or his own sense of individuality, rather than just be influenced by the peer circle that she or he finds himself in or herself in. Because then otherwise they might absorb some negative influences from their peer circle that you might not want to happen. And if you give the child a sense of individuality, a sense of strength, saying you need to go out and find your own sense of meaning and purpose, listen to yourself and focus on yourself and inward. And we can talk about the process by which people do so. But having that individualized sense of meaning and purpose needs to start at that transition stage.
What's a very important part of your book is using science. So I'm kind of really naive about this. I'm sure a lot of our listeners are too. So kind of give us some examples of how to use science to get meaning and purpose in our lives.
Sure. So I mentioned some of the research about the science on the benefits of meaning and purpose. There has also been research on how to find a sense of meaning and purpose. And that has to do with, first of all, stepping back and defining what meaning and purpose is. So from a scientific perspective, a sense of meaning and purpose has to do with an overarching drive that gives you motivation to do the things in your life. So whatever that overarching drive is, whatever that overarching goal is, whatever those overarching values are, broader values that get you out of your bed, that cause you to do the things that you do. And for you to have a strong sense of connection to those overarching values, to your meaning and purpose every day through each of your activities, and know how they connect to those. So that's what the definition of meaning and purpose is. And I'm not going to go into the very scientific description, but this is a very nutshell, broad version of what meaning and purpose is from a scientific perspective. So in order to get that, what the research shows is that four things are necessary, or four things are really important. One is having a clear sense of your long-term goals and values and aspirations. So what exactly is the thing for you that's going to get you out of bed in the morning and is going to be a string going through all of your activities and tying them all together to that long-term aspirational values that you have for yourself. That's one. The second thing that's been shown to be really important for people to have a sense of meaning and purpose is to self-reflect. So self-reflection is an interesting process. So it's not sufficient to simply know what those long-term goals are, but it's also important to reflect on how you're actually meeting them. And that takes setting aside some time every day or every week to reflect on how you're moving to where you want to be, how you're moving to the person you want to be, to your goals, to your values, to your aspirations. We can talk about the science, about why the science found this, but that's kind of another point I want to make. The third point that's really important is a strong sense of community and social bonds. So community and social bonds have been shown to be strongly correlated with meaning and purpose. People who have those community and social bonds usually have a very strong sense of meaning and purpose, and people who don't. So that's a third important thing. And the fourth and final point is having a strong sense of serving something outside of yourself, something broader than yourself, through various volunteer activities, community activities, philanthropy, donations, somehow improving the lives of other people or other beings, if that's something that calls to you. So serving something outside of yourself is the fourth research-based component of finding a sense of meaning and purpose. And they're all described in my book, Find Your Purpose Using Science, available on Amazon and elsewhere. But that's the four things that science suggests are really important for a sense of meaning and purpose.
Those are four very important points, and I very much appreciate you sharing that. But I want you to talk about a little bit about self-reflection, because sometimes we look at ourselves and not happy about what we see, not happy where we're at and where we're going. So what do we do to to get on the right track? I mean, other than going to get your books and going and following you, what do we do? What do we do right now to maybe make our self-reflection more positive so we can go ahead?
Sure. So there are two types there are ways of self-reflecting that are negative, and those involve just kind of beating yourself up over not achieving what you want to achieve. So let's say let's say you already did step one and you know what your goals are, and then for some reason you're not moving toward them. You're just living your life day to day, and you're not doing anything to move toward your goals. One perspective can be what's called a fixed mindset, and that's a term in the psychology that refers to people who are just fatalistic, who think that life kind of just pushes them around and they can't change anything about their lives. Now, self-reflection in that mode looks like this. Oh, I'm such a bad person. These are bad things happening to me. I'm not doing the right things. How bad am I? And feelings of shame and guilt. Now, another mode of self-reflection is called a self-reflection with a growth mindset. A growth mindset is a psychological term that's the opposite of a fixed mindset. That's where people understand themselves to be able to grow, to change, to shift, and develop. And self-reflection in that mode looks like this. Oh, hey, these bad things are happening. I'm not doing what I currently want to do. Well, what can I specifically do? What's under my control? What are steps I can take to make things better? Because you always have a choice. Everyone has a choice about their life and the way they lead their life. If you're stuck in a bad job, you really have a choice about whether to keep doing that job or not, or leave or change your position or something like that. There's people who are in tough positions, who have family to support and so on. But again, it's really important to realize it's your choice. You're choosing to do all of those things. And you can always choose to change something about your life to make it better. Writing that all out in a journal and having specific steps that you will take, that you commit yourself to taking to make things better, has been shown by research to be much more likely to improve your chance of success in reaching those goals.
Outstanding. Having a journal, so important. You're right. I like that. On one of your questions I sent to you, and I want you to share a couple with the listeners. Meaning and purpose questionnaire. That's a big part of your website and stuff, and it's a big part of what you got out there. And I want people to follow up and get the rest of the questionnaire from you. So give us a couple of your meaning and purpose questionnaire.
Sure. And for folks who want to get the questionnaire, if you email me at gleb@intentionalinsights.org, again, that's gleb@intentionalinsights.org, and tell me that you heard me on the Hollis Chapman Show, I will send you a free version of that questionnaire. So,
thank you.
Sure. So a type of question, one of the questions that you have on the questionnaire is, are you having the kind of social and community bonds that are conducive to you having a sense of meaning and purpose? Now, the questionnaire is intended, just to be clear for listeners, it has a rating scale from 1 to 10, where 1 is, low or absolutely disagree with a statement, and 10 is absolutely agree with a statement. So first you rate yourself on the quality of your social bonds, and then you have a space to write out your answer. Now, so then you know where you are in that stage. And that gives you an opportunity to improve because, I answered low on this question. And there are other questions. So another question is, let's say, how are you doing with self-reflection on your sense of meaning and purpose? Let's say you answer on that question, you're doing great, you're doing journaling every week on that question, and you feel really happy with yourself, so you give yourself a 10. But then you evaluate yourself on your social and community bonds, and you see, they're not so great, you can really be doing better, and giving yourself a 4. And then you're like, well, what should I work on next to develop a stronger sense of meaning and purpose so that I don't get all these illnesses, Alzheimer's disease, heart disease, stroke, various ulcers, so I don't get anxiety and depression? Well, you got to work on your community and social bonds, go to various clubs, go find various community organizations, churches for some people at work. So I'm not going to, advocate for all. Some people at work, some people it doesn't. But various go to a local football game and make some friends there. Find that sense of community and find those bonds. So that gives you both a way of knowing where you are and your current sense of meaning and purpose, and a way of improving your sense of meaning and purpose. So it's a very data-driven approach, which is the fundamental of science. Having data and then using that data, information, to make a change, make an intervention, and then seeing whether you improve or not. So after some time, you would take the questionnaire again and see, oh, hey, my sense of community and social bonds went from 4 to a 6. Great, I'm making improvements. Let's keep going more in that direction. So that's the usefulness of that sort of questionnaire.
Outstanding. And, I want to mention out, too, that your social bond, I've heard when I growing up, like, you are who you hang around with. You are who you associate with. So, it's so important. I didn't realize what that meant until I got older, where as I look around these days and stuff like that, who I hang around with, it's podcasters and business people who are doing things and try to go where we all want to go together. So it's very important first when you reflect is, who are you hanging around with? Who's your social, like you were saying, who are you having a social bond with? And it's very important to align yourself with that social bond to people in the same kind of mindset as you are, so you can go forward. Makes it easier, because sometimes if you're trying to be a bad boy and you hang out with people who don't believe in journaling, you're not going to journal because you're too embarrassed because your homie. It's like, oh man, you're journaling. So that's kind of weird doing that. But if you're hanging around with people who do the same thing, it's much easier to express and journal and do what is necessary to self-reflect and have a positive self-reflection. Does that make sense?
That totally makes sense, Hollis, and that ties in really well with the first aspect of meaning and purpose, of knowing your goals and aspirations. Because if you know your overarching goals and aspirations, you can tie that. That's part of the questionnaire of seeing whether the kind of people you spend time with do give you that sense of meaning and purpose that comes from your long-term goals and aspirations. So it's aligning your long-term goals and aspirations with the people you want to hang out with. Some homies are going to be good for you, some homies are going to be bad for you. So you want to align with those ones who are going to be good for you and who are going to be aligned with your sense of meaning and purpose and that long-term aspirations that will get you there.
Very good. Well said. Okay, before we go into the final comment, please tell us the website we go to get your book.
Sure. So you can go to Amazon. So that's one easy Amazon, and look for Find Your Purpose Using Science. My name is Gleb Tsipursky, but Find Your Purpose Using Science, you'll find the book. That's one. You can also go to intentionalinsights.org, which is the website of the nonprofit I run, and there's a discounted version there. So that's intentionalinsights.org. Go to the topics section, and the topics has meaning and purpose. You'll find it there. And you can also get the meaning and purpose questionnaire by emailing me at gleb@intentionalinsights.org. And if you tell me you heard me on the Hollis Chapman Show, I will send you a free version of the questionnaire.
Outstanding. Again, thank you so much for doing that. And I'll go off a little off topic because I love Ohio State, because Ohio State and ASU, where the campus that I'm near here in Tempe, Arizona, is two of the biggest campuses in the United States, and it's big. Yeah. But my question to you is, how do you, Professor, busy as you are, you got a nonprofit doing your books, how do you prepare your week?
Great question. So I prepare my week actually quite in advance. I have a calendar that I organize. So right now my calendar is booked about 3 weeks in advance, 3-4 weeks. And so I have a variety of meetings, podcasts like this one with you, Hollis, meetings with various folks, classes that I do. And in between those classes and meetings, I schedule time blocks for me to do various forms of alone work. And in the evenings, I schedule time. Well, in the evenings or afternoons, I schedule time to spend time with friends and spend time with my wife, who I love and who's my partner in life and the best person in the world. I have to say, Agnes Vishnievkin. So shout out to her.
Very nice.
I make sure to use my calendar to block out time to spend with her, and to also spend time with my friends. And that's the way I organize my time and my activities. My calendar is, crucial for me to survive.
Very good. Hey, Doc, this is a final comment. Again, you're doing some wonderful things. You're a professor at the United State University. I love that. 10 years down the line, you and your wife, you're on the beach, you're relaxing a little bit and just kind of reminiscing about your career and your life together and stuff like that. When it's all said and done, sir, what do you want to be remembered for professionally?
I want to be remembered for helping improve people's lives in a research-based, science-based manner and spreading these ideas about the importance of research and science in improving people's lives, whether it's about meaning and purpose, which is an important aspect of what I do, whether it's about wise decision-making, which is another topic of research, whether it's about emotional and social intelligence, which I also research. I want to be known for really helping people have the ideas and understanding that help them improve their lives in a meaningful, substantive way. So that's what I want to be remembered for.
Outstanding, Doctor. Thank you so much. You have a great weekend. Thanks for coming on and sharing with us. Okay, you kind of broke it down a little bit for us for this. Yeah. Thank you so much, sir. You have a great weekend, and we'll talk to you real soon, sir.
Great. Thank you, Hollis. It was a pleasure.
Thank you. All right. Okay, bye-bye. Okay, again, another great day of great guests, everybody. Okay, follow up. They've left you their URLs to go follow up with them. Basically, you can check on Amazon. Okay, again, and Doc is giving you a great thing where you just mentioned the Hollis Chapman Show. You can get free copies of his questionnaire. That's a wonderful thing. So that's really good. So follow up. And again, the Hollis Chapman Show is doing well. Okay, we get a nice little listening base. People are active and being engaging. And again, if you go and give us a review on Yelp, we will send you a $5 discount card to Starbucks to get your favorite drink. Okay, so go to Google, type in the Hollis Chapman Show, leave a review, and easy as that. Review our guests. Okay, follow up. Let's give them some love. Let's do some great things for them because they're doing some great things for us. Okay. Hey, guess what? Tomorrow we're right back at it on the Hollis Chapman Show on Blog Talk Radio. So don't go anywhere for long. Spend 24 hours and come back for our guests tomorrow. 2 great guests on the Hollis Chapman Show on Blog Talk Radio. Everyone, as always, I'll see you next time.